here we are at the cusp of a new year, ending off 2022, having a little bit of a gap between our last recording session and this one, going into 2023. So not quite
there yet.
Our first one of the year, more like the last one of last year.
It's the bridging.
It's the bridging. They say and apparently in editing, transition is everything. So we're going to do a good transition today.
Well, I think we've got like a 3 to 4 months transition happening right here because we have literally sucked at this the last few months.
Yes, no, it has been a very interesting time. Now, while I am pressing this espresso, because we don't want our water to, look at that
cool down too much.
Beautiful extraction.
Look at that crema, man.
So,
who would have thought you can put a crema like that into a cup by your hand?
Right?
Incredible. Let's see if we can kind of give you guys
some perspective.
A bit of a sneak peek of a beautiful crema without spilling that thing.
Yeah.
Look at that. Just so, man.
All right. Well, that's mine. You have yours.
Yes, thank you.
All right. And taking into account your sensitivity to temperature. So
I can, of course, jump right into it.
Yes. Now, I think the discussion that we'll be having today is going to be an interesting one, especially considering where we're going for the year.
Bro, smell that thing quickly.
The last time somebody said that, it was not a good experience.
Right. Condensed milk.
But not
buttered.
Normal condensed milk.
Yeah, buttered condensed milk.
No, man. What? No.
My goodness, that aroma is weird. This creamy, soft, fluffy type of condensed milk.
But also very intense, like fruity aromas. Like,
smell mine, man. Smell mine.
No, man. What are you talking about?
I think yours is fresher than mine. That thing smells like condensed milk.
This does not smell the same.
That does not smell the same. You need to let that thing open a bit. This thing is delicious.
That obviously needs to breathe.
Wow, that is insane.
Well, it does say plum, berries. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, on that one,
Red apples and honey. And you're getting a lot more of the honey elements.
Ooh, honey condensed milk,
But
yes.
have you had no, you can't, you're allergic. But I had a
That's
sunflower honey, which is different from just your traditional honey. And then you get a citrus honey. Depends on the kind of pollen that they use for the honey. But the sunflower honey has a very interesting element, and that's what yours smells like. But now I want to try it. I like that.
Well, I like the aroma. It's an interesting aroma, though.
Yeah. So ending our 2022 with a bang, and I'm excited to talk a little bit about some of the experiences that we've had to deal with in the last year, and what our expectation is for 2023.
Crazy what year is behind us.
Crazy if you think about the intense challenge that we had finding coffee in South Africa, and I don't think that it was just us. The availability,
especially
the import of
South
coffee,
Africa.
how import has affected the prices of our coffee. First world champs, like proper
in 2 years,
proper world champs that we've had, and what a showing by some interesting, if you think about it, competitors.
Yeah.
How lockdown created a platform for a star to rise up. But we can talk about that a little bit later. I'm not giving anything away at the moment.
We'll get into that one just now.
I'm getting hooked there. There we go. There we go. All right. You can see that we're not used to this professional setup. You will forgive me. I'm a barista, not a techie. Right?
Yes. I'm sure everybody right now is noticing there is a huge difference in what this looks like, what this sounds like. Of course, you're seeing very interesting technology around us.
Yeah.
We are very, very blessed, like extremely blessed. That we actually have some professionals who is busy with some special work and building portfolios and so on.
Well, this is our road to success.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
That's like saying only great coffee should be drunk in the world, which I'm not going to argue that, but unfortunately it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
But so we want to obviously say thank you off the bat, for this very first intro episode, from BergMedia.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. We really appreciate all the professionalism and all of this fancy equipment. But 2022.
Yeah.
what a year in the sense that I feel like I closed my eyes in 2019.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 2022, I'm opening my eyes and the world has changed.
Yeah.
C19 has had a humongous influence and change and perspective and just horrible and really interesting and beautiful things, for those 2 years.
Yeah.
And when we think of the last 2 years, it literally feels like just 2022.
Yeah.
Because everything started, opening up again. People were able to, travel again. Coffee was able to be, transported or imported and exported to different countries again. We didn't see any world champs. I haven't seen Aga since March 2020.
I haven't seen her ever.
Feels horrible because there's a phenomenal friend that literally it is impossible to see right now because we weren't able to travel to actually see one another.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, here's 2022, and now we need to kind of adjust, get coffee and, reconnect with some importers. Actually, some importers actually failed, like they had to liquidate. So now there's new importers and like so much.
Yeah.
And it's horrible yet so motivating.
Yeah.
Because the world can change so fast. And I love it.
Yeah, and I think we've been taught something about appreciating our good times and when there's plentiful by learning to deal with a lack of plentiful resources. I don't want to call it scarcity because there is no scarcity. It's just only opportunity.
Yes.
But from going from having to change our house coffee 6-7 times, adjusting on roast profiles, adjusting on
ratio,
ratios
getting
to find
all 40 baristas to kind of play in line with one another, and the ones that don't understand struggle, and it's incredible.
Yeah, to find some consistency in flavor, and now getting back to the point where there was opportunity in this 2023 for a green bean importer to find its feet, providing some sustainability and some
actually a few of them,
yes.
like three importers are now, because the one kind of was struggling. For everything that dies, something else get to live.
Yeah,
3 new importers, finding its new place and direction and all of that opportunity.
Yeah,
with one of them unfortunately then having to pass.
Yeah,
and do you remember just the other day? And to you listeners out there, it's going to be like you spoke about that like 2 days ago when I listened to the episode. But remember, for us, it's been a while. Just the other day, we had an episode on the frost that came down in Brazil, and we lost 406 million kilograms of coffee. That the trees are dead. All of that. Now those trees are 2 years old again. Like they're starting to put their first blossoms out.
That's a sobering thought.
That's very sobering. Like I feel so motivated with all of this negative, dark, horrible feelings behind us. It's so motivating to look to the future and go, thank goodness we are not where we used to be, Like, it's important.
Yeah.
Learn from the past and then grow from it.
Yeah.
Exciting for what 2023 is going to bring.
Yeah.
But let's discuss a few things of 2022. What was the high point of 2022 for you?
There were a few, but I think one that we don't get to experience too often, that we were privileged enough to see, especially since it's been 2 years since we had the opportunity. First, World Barista Champs.
Yes.
2 things. Our regional Barista Champs.
Our
regionals / national semifinals.
Yeah, which was a very quick one.
Yeah, which was an interesting one. But then Worlds.
Right.
First of all,
and 2 of them in 1 year.
Can we appreciate how social media created the platform for a first-time American competitor to win nationals, go through to Worlds, and hit second place?
Unbelievable.
And what a phenomenal approach to coffee. I mean, using a species of coffee that we did not have access to, that
unfortunately
we had very limited knowledge on, and taking that to a world stage and taking second place, that to me was amazing.
Right. First of all, taking it to her nationals and blowing out of the water. Like, with this species that almost no one knows about.
Yeah. And even few people can pronounce.
I still struggle.
Well, even I'm not confident in this one. So
well, I'm going to try, but I mean, I know the Mr. Pedantic is going to become the pronouncer waiter.
Let's see.
And obviously correct me on, but it's Eugenoides.
I think it's Eugenoides or Eugenoides. I think actually you're very close. I can't remember how she pronounced it.
I actually think it's the closest I've ever been so far.
Eugenoides. I'm not 100% sure. I can kind of spell it. So
Mr. Jose, if you can help us.
Yeah, if that is part of
a word that you
vocabulary.
can actually do, yeah. But I mean, Miss Morgan, like,
right?
Oh my goodness,
yeah. Well,
she just came from nowhere. This TikToker building this humongous following,
having a love and passion for coffee, and
huge.
And what I enjoyed and what I think she accomplished. And she wasn't the only one. This is now somebody who went to the world stage that a lot of people can relate to without, and I know a lot of people that didn't even know that she went through to World Barista Champs. Okay, right. Although they didn't know that they watched such a thing as the World Barista Championships, but
correct.
People that I know that have a rudimentary knowledge or understanding or appreciation of coffee who sent me stuff by Morgan, like, oh, look at this is so cool, or who is this lady?
I was so happy.
That was so great. How she created a platform for and access to specialty coffee or specialty coffee and the industry and knowledge and just some curiosity around what it can be.
Right. And then bringing 2 coffees to the table, which again, incredible. She brings for espresso and milk base this Eugenoides or whatever, and then she finishes off her signature beverage with a Sudan Rume, which is an insane coffee, done in Colombia or grown in Colombia, that has incredible flavor notes. Like, we're actually getting some. I'm not sure if you know, but in the end of this month, there's actually a shipment of Sudan Rume landing in South Africa. Imported by, of course, our great friends and phenomenal people, and we know big listeners to the podcast, Mr. Jose from Sabores. So they're bringing that gorgeous coffee into South Africa. I am most definitely getting a bag because, I mean, we have to share that.
Just let our
people.
accountants know.
No, I'm going to tell them after.
We'll just say sorry. We won't ask for permission.
Sorry is a lot easier than please.
Yeah.
So I mean, how awesome for Morgan. I actually just want to give her some publicity on here. So her handle is
Morgan Drinks Coffee.
Morgan Drinks Coffee.
Yeah.
Do go and check her out. She's on Twitter, on TikTok. She's on Twitter. She's on Instagram. She's on YouTube. She literally puts coffee education and the love of coffee out there to really share her heart and experience and beautiful coffees with the rest of the world.
Yeah, but also, and I appreciate the fact that she does it in a approachable manner.
Very approachable.
It's not just information oriented. It's not just intellectually oriented. It's
some entertainment.
Well, it's entertaining, especially if you are in this industry, especially if you're dealing with clients and you have that issue.
She shows all of the weird clients that come in, but she shows it in such a way that we all go, I know that client.
And the people who are those clients, she's like, there's people like that. And that's kind of the problem, right? If people start talking about a specific personality trait and you don't know how to identify, or you can't identify somebody like that in your space, that's normally you.
Exactly.
If that's news to you,
people like that exist. Yeah. Don't look in the mirror.
Yeah. Normally you find them there. But
of course, we love you.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we love you.
You buy coffee. We have to. And well, moving, from Morgan, because we can, on just that alone, we could have a whole conversation.
Right.
Our national barista champs, I enjoyed. That was my first time going to champs, seeing it live, seeing it seeing the competitors, the judges running, clearing the tables. Seeing behind the scenes, not tasting the drinks. He was one of
those runners.
And meeting, I think, more faces in that that space and industry that we don't often get to because of distance or time. But seeing new competitors come to the stage, some really interesting and good competitors with a lot of potential.
New entry, good
seeing
competitors. Yes.
Our golden oldies, if I can call them that,
course.
our legends.
Of course, on the other side of the table and all of that.
Who bring that experience, that practice professionalism, who have seen some of them a world stage, and you can see the difference in the atmosphere, the comfortability. And now, them, before the imports were as consistent as they were, trying to find coffees to use that they can use at Champs and possibly use at Worlds if they didn't want to use a different coffee.
Exactly. And how hard for those guys who in 2020 went to nationals, getting themselves ready, opening, doors opening up. Okay, they're going to go to World Champs, and all of a sudden the whole world is on a lockdown.
Yours.
You're more than welcome. It actually has a very weird flavor to it.
Taste that one.
Completely different to this one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one I appreciate more. I think I actually kind of like this one slightly more to that one. Okay, so we'll just stick to that trade. So they're preparing themselves, and all of a sudden it's gone. Like the whole world is on shutdown. No one's traveling. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And we go into 2021. And now the coffee that they were ready to take to World Champs is now old.
Yeah.
They can't play with that coffee anymore. Now they kind of need to go out and find something new and going, okay, well, we're very much unsure. And then, Melbourne, that was supposed to happen in 2021, then comes to this halt where they go, sorry, Australia is completely closed. Melbourne is not happening.
Yeah,
we will be moving that to 2022.
Yeah.
And your whole world falls apart. I mean, you just went out, you sourced a new coffee because you're not sure what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, the whole world tells you, sorry, we know you got some coffee, but you ain't going to use it.
Yeah.
And then, all of the coffee moving to, again, back to Morgan, it goes back home. It goes into people's kitchens. It goes into people's little brew bars at home. I know so many people that did little home brewing barista stations, buying espresso machines and grinders and coffees and scales for their own homes because coffee shops were inaccessible. If you had the opportunity to go to a coffee shop, you had to buy a takeaway and then sit in your car and kind of appreciate the coffee by yourself.
And I remember having clients who begged to stay when we couldn't serve those sit downs.
Or standing at the counter for a half an hour because they don't want to leave.
Yeah, and then them technically not sitting down. So every time security passed by, they said, no, we just haven't decided what we want yet.
Yeah, we still ordering.
Yes.
I remember those days.
Interesting.
And then going into 2022, which is the historical point of this episode.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden Milan happens before Melbourne happens.
Yeah.
And we get to send our second place, because it's just weird sending your first place to both of them, but sending our South African second place to go to Milan. And he has his very first world experience on the stage going, okay, right, I'm going to give my best shot. And gets, the publicity and the awareness and, sees things on the world stage that he's never experienced on the national stage.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, his eyes open up and he looks at coffee completely different.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we send our national barista champ, Mr. Winston, to Melbourne. And, he has this awesome experience and it builds phenomenal brand for South Africa out there. Like, good job, Mr. Winnie.
Yeah.
You're a legend. Just, even though it's becoming a background story now, because 3 years, even though it's turned into 5, you'll always be the legend who was able to run 5 years with 3 wins.
Yeah.
But you went to the world stage and you've just brought so much publicity for South African coffee to the table. Being the person who now interviews, the new national world champion, Mr. Antonio or Mr. Anthony. I don't know really how they pronounce it, but having all of that access, of out of our houses, like out of home, where we can sit, because now everything is different. We don't have to sit across the table anymore. We can sit across Zoom, or we can sit across the world through the internet and go, oh, hey buddy, how's it going? Long time no see. I saw you a week ago.
Yeah.
But we haven't traveled in so long. So it's this weird concept in my mind that I'm still struggling to fathom. And all of a sudden we're back to normal.
Yeah.
Now we can travel again and see. It's weird. It's really, really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Like, guys, tell us in the comments down below. Was it the same experience for you guys? Or is it just me?
Yeah.
But anyway, so other things that happened in the year. Coffee prices skyrocketed.
No, all prices skyrocketed. we now facing with the reality of coffee prices skyrocketing. But
economy is
all prices
interesting. Yeah. Yes, everything is just oil barrels got a new all-time high. That just influenced shipping. Shipping got crazy expensive, which means a container of coffee that used to cost X now cost X plus Y plus Z for the same container of coffee. And the availability of variety has shrinked down. You used to have an option of 8 different Brazil coffees and 5 different Ethiopian coffees. And now you're kind of stuck with, you got the 2 Brazil coffees, and if you're lucky, 1 Ethiopian coffee. And then, one of the growing countries, like, for instance, Rwanda was like, well, we can't really ship to America or to the East right now, so how about we just ship all of the coffee we grow down to South Africa? Yeah. And here we sit with all of this, Rwanda coffee in South Africa, that every single roaster has 4 different regions of Rwanda coffee available. Like, what? Never seen that before. It's been a very interesting year. Again, for me personally, very motivating towards, it's opened up all of the publicity for Rwanda. Burundi, we missed so much, where some of the parts of the world were like, know what, we can only bring in 1 container. We'll take all of them. Yeah. And they would import all of the Burundi coffees into Saudi Arabia or into Dubai, which, how did that thing change?
I have no idea.
My goodness.
I was not aware that the coffee culture and complexity, was to such a degree in Dubai specifically, where obviously Wilden's there now, traveling, sending us all the jealousy-inspiring photos, but seeing the amazing coffee atmosphere, the culture, the training that they're doing. What an interesting experience.
Yeah, explosion in my perspective. I've been watching Dubai coffee culture for a while, in the sense that a lot of the very, very expensive coffees in the world that unfortunately South Africa, due to the currency exchange of a 1 to 17 or 1 to 18 that we have to the US dollar. It is on a lot of different elements and degrees very hard for us to import really expensive coffees, like really high point, 89 to 94 point type of coffees into South Africa, purely because it's already expensive just to get it here on the exchange rate, and everything in the world just works with dollars. I mean, we have to times everything. So it's, and how all of a sudden they start buying up all of those type of coffees because they have the privilege of being able to actually afford it. And incredible explosion of how hardware stores in Dubai that you used to go to, to get DIY tools.
Stuff,
and all of a sudden they're making Chemexes and Siphons and V60s in their little coffee brew bar at the entrance of the hardware store, exploding, and how all of them are just falling in love with specialty coffee because they kind of more, grew up or are accustomed to, your Turkish coffees, your Librikas and stuff like that. And all of a sudden now, they've got more variety of the Arabica species available in Dubai alone than I think, personally, compared to the rest of the world combined together. Like, except of course if you're growing coffee, then you obviously have more variety. But crazy how that exploded. And I'm so happy and so motivated by that because they have a sense of putting everything online and really growing the publicity and the branding. And the quality of what coffee could truly be one day.
Yeah.
And, South Africa, for the better part, have really taken a huge leap in growth.
Yeah. Still a long way to go, but definitely further than we were.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, you don't get the obvious filter coffee order anymore. Now it's more Americano, Americano with milk. Or you know what? I actually like my Americano black. Or, you get the odd one that's still out there, Americano with hot. I mean, you'd really like hot beverage if you take an Americano with hot milk.
Well, now also,
I would have to wait a half an hour.
Yeah, but okay, we serve our Americanos. Our Americanos are relatively hot, but I stopped by a place not too far from where I'm staying now that actually serves their Americanos at 70 degrees Celsius.
Interesting.
Which is very low.
Yeah,
so
in the north where we're located, everybody's going to complain. They're going to say, "Why's my coffee cold? Can you please heat
why
up
is
my
my coffee cold?"
Yeah, why is my coffee cold?
Yeah. The accent.
Sorry, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, we're not coffee. It's coffee.
It's coffee. Maak my koffie warm.
But yeah,
I've got a tin throat. A blukkeel.
Yeah, we'll get them there. It's slow and sure. Slow and steady wins the race.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. So we'll get everyone there. Eventually, some of those people will age out.
Yes.
If they don't.
Well, at least they run like a tortoise run, very consistent. You know? They don't lose any rhythm. Like they stay in that rhythm. So it's beautiful.
But I'm also excited to see what we have in store for us in 2023. I am excited about our national championship, seeing our first-time competitors who've now had the shock and scare of the stage, having the judges in front of you, having that first real presentation that you have to do.
Right.
And having the privilege of seeing all of them after that behind the scenes, coming to the judges, asking for
feedback,
wanting to learn, looking for new coffees, branching out beyond their normal circle to learn something new and improve. People who have phenomenal communication skill but don't necessarily realize that everyone doesn't have their level of knowledge. Other people who have a phenomenal coffee talent and passion but need to improve on communication, and everyone is spending time on improving in that specifically.
Correct.
I am very excited. I'll have to be a runner to make sure that nobody drinks the coffee behind the stage after the competitors are done, but we'll sort out the security of that, see if we can get there, find out what they're doing.
Interesting perspective.
Yes,
right?
I can't wait 3 years to be qualified as a national judge and then be able to taste what goes.
Taste those type of coffees. I mean, some of those coffees are just insane. I have the awesome privilege of telling the story over the last, sadly, 5 years, but 3 years of experiencing the coffees from this side of the table, where you get to taste the coffee and go, oh, wow, this is available in South Africa. Wow, you go, competitor. Like, I really hope this coffee takes you through. And then, of course, having to keep all of that excitement in my mind going. I'm not allowed to judge this coffee anything outside of what's inside this cup.
Yeah.
Because it definitely is amazing.
Yeah.
To build that type of experience. And, of course, naughty people running around tasting it too.
No idea what you're talking about. I am innocent until proven guilty. And there were no cameras.
There was no cameras. So I'm also very excited. I think we've got roughly about 30 days or just over 30 days until our very first national championships against after C19. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, you will be. My goodness.
Yeah, what an interesting time. But
the days, I can remember no, I'm not going to try and remember those days.
But yes, nationals on the way, new competitors hitting the stage, some of our golden oldies, some of our legends going to the stage, bringing that experience. I'm curious to see the people who will be attending, the crowd, your coffee enthusiasts, the professionals, being in those conversations, finding what have people been experimenting with, what is coming new to the table, where have they been spending time? I know some of the guys are going even overseas to spend time with trainings, sourcing coffee.
Winston, I think, actually went to America for like a month or something to prepare.
Some of the younger guys going to some of our more experienced national trainers, spending time on improvement. Excited about some of the new coffees that our new importers will be bringing in, some of our existing importers bringing in, spending time with the new fresh harvest, what people have been experimenting with, big year for experimentation and fermentation.
Right.
A lot of culturing going around, a lot of playing around with
very
interesting flavors that are coming through.
And we've had the opportunity of tasting some of these cultured coffees. Now, I'm not a big one for cultured coffee in the sense where I love the pureness of what coffee can bring to the table, even through fermentation.
Yeah.
But I have not been disappointed with some of this cultured coffees. Like, I think we actually mentioned one of those coffees earlier, the Maypop, which, lychees for days.
Yeah, what an intense flavor
amazing.
profile, and beautifully roasted by the roaster herself.
Of course.
But also interesting, kind of contrast between, should this go to barista champs? Should this stay away? What do we see as?
Where's kind of the line?
Is this enhancing the natural flavor? Is it manipulating it? So a lot of perspectives on what happened in 2022, what we can expect for 2023, and I could say that we could have conversations about this for hours, but we could have conversations about this for a year.
Easy.
Trying to put
just
everything that happened in the last 365 days into one little basket.
Which would literally be impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, just on the culturing side, there was this huge thing on social media, blogs going out, videos going out, people like Sasa Sestic getting in, going, okay, let's just pull a line of definition here. Yeah. Guys, you need to understand the difference. I love both sides of the table, but you're going to come to the table, bring pure coffee to the table in the sense that if you're going to use something else, make it clear. Yeah. Because you cannot say X, Y, Z about a coffee and actually it was something completely different.
No vague information on it while there was such intense contribution to flavor or manipulation of flavor in the process.
Right, the traceability. Yes.
Yeah. So an interesting time for, experiencing our clients focusing on where coffee comes from. More people walking into the store asking, okay, listen, so I kind of been buying coffee from this region of Ethiopia. I learned a little bit about the farmers. What do you guys have? And can you tell me a little bit about the coffee? And now clients coming back with our traceability cards, with stories of the coffee, said, listen, I bought coffee from this region. Now, not people saying, ooh, I like Ethiopian coffees. Like, I like coffee from Gucci or from Sidamu or from Yirgacheffe or Limo.
Yes.
From different parts of different countries, starting to read up on where coffee comes from, what it takes to get that cup to me, with an awareness that coffee is not self-sustaining, that it actually takes a family and workers to get me my daily fix or my daily cup, to be able to enjoy my love, and starting to actually take an interest. People starting to read articles, going to Perfect Daily Grind.
And writing so many articles on that.
Yes, and more people looking at Project Origin that Sasha obviously created. And
correct.
Focusing on how we can contribute to the farmer's lifestyle, how we can contribute to actually sustaining our own love of coffee, and not just depending on somebody to make it happen so that I can have my fix.
Yes, it's so amazing how aware your average, coffee enthusiast, your everyday coffeeholic, like they like to call themselves, the in vain guys, how exactly like you're saying, they're coming in and they're going, right, please share with me the traceability of this coffee, because I want to make sure there where my money is going is actually helping the direct trade.
Yeah.
So it's actually making a difference in the world. Making coffee more self-sustainable and better.
Well, I think a really good explanation or an example of how that's happening is people starting to tag farmers.
Oh, yes.
On their social media.
Farmers actually having Instagram right now. Yes.
How often do you see Elkin Guzman from El Mirador reposting? Finca La Julia posting from their, coffee that people tag them in. Roasters actually engaging with the farmers asking information about the coffee. What can they recommend? And now coffee growers being able to see the appreciation that the world has for their coffee, not just they're just going to chuck it into something and add sugar or milk or, desecrate our hard work, just seeing our hard work and appreciating what it took to give you that really good cup of coffee.
Exactly. Oh, it's so beautiful. I think the extreme, this brings us back to the starting point, of course, of the caffeine community, the TC coin. Perspective is to grow the awareness and the knowledge and the educational side of the everyday coffee enthusiast. Yeah. To actually be aware around the fact that coffee, even though it being the second largest legal trading commodity in the world, just under oil, also keeping in mind that it's the second largest consumed beverage in the world, which for those of you out there, water is number one because 98% of coffee is water. So it'll always be the leader. But how, even though it is such a large trading commodity, the guys out there who actually grow the coffee is not living the life of the first and largest trading commodity in the world, which is oil. You go to any oil rigs owner or oil rigger out there, and you see their houses.
Yeah,
my goodness.
Yeah, I think your oil tycoons really have set themselves apart with regards to finances. The whole world runs on oil, but they forget that the people who get in the things that run on oil run on coffee.
Exactly.
But we don't see that same financial well-being.
Abundance, yes. Yeah. In coffee.
In coffee and for coffee growers. There's so many middlemen and so many producers that are required to create the volumes that we're using every year that we slice the pie so thin that a lot of people don't necessarily have that availability of funds or sustainability.
It comes down to create 10 kilograms of coffee. Now, guys, if you're a listener out there and you consume roughly about 10 kgs of coffee in your household, whether it be in a month or 2 months or 5 months, but think of 10 kilograms of coffee. It took the average picker to pick 100 kilograms of cherries in the period that it is available on the tree before it starts rotting.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't go off. Then process that coffee, losing 90% by the time he gives it to the exporter.
Yeah.
And then the exporter needs to take that 10 kgs and then export it into the rest of the world for your roaster to roast it, give it some flavor and XYZ. The poor farmer goes through all of the hustle, all of the sleepless nights, all of the sweating in the rain, breaking their backs like you did against the mountain, being able to then pick, for argument's sake, 100 kilograms of cherry, thinking to themselves, I'm only going to get 10% of the money.
Yeah.
That's so labor intensive.
And then a farmer goes, and we haven't seen this, but goes, pushes up the price, the processor pushes up his price, the exporter pushes up his price, the importer pushes up his price, the government takes a part, then from there
the
to
stock exchange,
wholesale suppliers, to a roaster, from a roaster to a shop, from a shop to a hopper, from a hopper to a cup. And every time there's a price increase, and then your consumer goes, this is too expensive, I can get it cheaper somewhere else.
Not taking into consideration where that bean came from, or actually doing the math. I had an interesting conversation just this week around exactly that.
Yeah.
Now, not to diss anything, but the convenience and obviously the time saving that instant coffee creates is amazing.
Yeah.
But some of those coffees out there runs for roughly about, and we're talking South African rands here, but about 800 to 900 rand per kg for cheap Robusta coffee that is extremely easy, convenient, and quick to make.
Yeah.
And then, those coffee consumers walk into coffee shops and go, what, you want 350 rands for your kilogram of single origin, single imported, directly traded from the farmer, actually giving something back to the farmer so they can build a sustainable family. And they feel your coffee is too expensive. That breaks my heart.
Yeah. And I think I'm excited to see how traceability brings people back to that.
Yes.
Seeing the difference in how understanding how we need to look after the farmer in order for us to be able to enjoy our normal cup.
Exactly. Well, imagine the following. Waking up tomorrow morning and there's no coffee available.
It sounds like a dark world.
I don't want to experience that.
Yeah.
Like that would just be weird. Now, without the farmer succeeding financially to look after his kids, that's exactly what we're going to have.
Yeah. Because we have more people getting out of the coffee industry because of the lack of financial stability, the lack of financial well-being, entering into, other regions. And we saw this at the Jabu Coffee Farm.
Exactly.
The owner of the coffee farm who died, sadly, and his sons-in-law getting the farm, and they deciding, no, there's not enough money in coffee, we're going to plant macadamias, and they rip out 40,
macadamias
50
and ginger.
hectares of coffee trees, throw them out to die, and then plant something else.
Right. And so stopping that self-sustainable element of, the coffee. And so traceability obviously makes it possible to actually know where my coffee comes from, how it makes a difference in the world, and how we can then grow better tasting, better quality, better, all of those elements available.
While looking after the people who make it possible.
Correct.
And I think this last year's been good, and we'll see a lot more focus on traceability in the year to come. A lot more competitors, a lot more coffee shop owners and roasters, and even a lot of clients focusing on traceability. What's the story of the coffee? What was the background? What was the route that it took? Focusing on, okay, so this is the farmer, we get to meet them. This is the farm, the story, the rainfall, that kind of focus on what contributed to making a cup of coffee.
And how it now influences their whole economy, because they were able, and not necessarily from a good history, but they were able to experiment with something else due to the fact they had more coffee available, because they couldn't export the coffee into the world.
Yeah.
So they went out there, they put themselves, out there, try different things. And I definitely think it's going to be prosperous in the future, because we are able to take coffees that used to suck and now generate flavors inside of it that actually everybody could appreciate.
Yeah.
Whether it be good or bad. I mean, it's out there.
Your perspective.
Right.
But yeah, I'm appreciative of the year that passed. I think we learned a lot. There was a lot of opportunity for growth. I think some disappointment in that as well. But excited about 2023, excited about to see
so much
what's coming to stage, what's coming to shops, what our clients are bringing to us as well. So all in all, I think this is going to be a really interesting year for coffee.
Right.
We could say good or bad. But that proverb that I told you, at the end of the day, we don't know if it's good or bad. We just know that it will happen.
Right. And I just call it one word.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And people's experience on us saying that always like, why? Is it something wrong? No, it's just interesting. And it's just that.
Like it's such a change of perspective in my point of view that I literally sometimes have to go inside of myself and change my point of the view to a place where it completely changes everything that I've thought in the past.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see what people will be bringing to the table and seeing what people describe as their happy place.
Ooh, in every single cup. And so may you guys go out and find that little naughty place.
Yeah.
Whether it be through culturing, whether it be through, whatever coffee beverage that you actually consume.
Yeah.
Just go out, support your local coffee shop, support your local roasters.
Yeah.
Because they're really, really trying to find their feet again right now. I don't think we really went into it, but we have a coffee on the table done by Yellow Jacket. It's an Ethiopia Reko, grown in the Yirgacheffe region, where the Kachere actually, the Kachere district, where the Kachere varietal actually comes from, which I love that coffee. It was a natural process, 12-hour fermentation, 3 to 5 hours, out. It was a shade and kind of sun-dried element. and 1850 to 2,200 meters above sea level. Phenomenal coffee.
Yeah.
The roasters, the importers, the growers, the farmers, you guys all know that we're actually here at the end of the day to bring your awareness to the actual legends that get to grow this coffee. And not all of them get to strive financially through that whole process. So please go and support locally. Bring the cash flow back to the farmer so that they can keep on becoming more sustainable to actually bring more of this amazing precious coffee to the rest of the world. And yes, thank you, coffee growers. Keep 2023 interesting for us.
Yeah.
Even if you have to culture it. Bless you guys and see you guys on the next episode.